Hello, listeners. Welcome to the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon podcast. And if you've been listening, I love to talk to business leaders in Asia. And I was just telling our guest today, I'm an avid podcast listener, and average a day I listen to 2 to 3 podcasts. And I can tell you, even until today, most of the podcasts are from the West. And my mission with this podcast is to get stories from business leaders in Asia. And I was just telling our guest today, Jonathan Quek. All right, he is on my list for the longest time because of his work. I've been following him on Instagram for many years, been connected on LinkedIn for many years, and he's founder of this thing called the Owner Circle. So we actually talk about 2 parts today. So he's the founder of Owner Circle. So if you don't know yet, Owner Circle is a business academy on a mission to empower business owners and entrepreneurs to achieve massive transformational growth through proven systems and tools. So Jonathan Quek has served close to 3,000, I think over more than that right now, 3,000 business leaders and entrepreneurs. And recently I saw a lot of his posts on the Business Growth Summit as well. And besides that, we also get to the second one. So a bit long introduction today. The second one, he's also the co-founder of Future Trends, right? An investment research firm that focuses on short-term focuses on investing in exponential technologies, in crypto, etc. So Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Bob, for having me here. Excited to speak to your audiences.
Yes. So if you're following, Jonathan is on LinkedIn and also on many other platforms as well. And of course, he has done a lot of work in KL. So we are actually both in Kuala Lumpur at the moment. So Jonathan, the first question I ask a lot of my guests is, what is your favorite Kung Fu movie?
Okay, for me, it has to be Ip Man. I'm a big fan of this movie. I think Donnie Yen was not as famous as he was before he started Ip Man. And the whole movie about Ip Man shows a lot of humility, a lot of commitment to be the master at his craft. And I'm a big fan of this Ip Man series. Yeah.
Yes, I love Ip Man, the series. So for the audience, Ip Man is a series of movies. There's Ip Man 1, 2, and 3. And what I love about it is that he did not decide to sort. So even though it's a Kung Fu movie, but his first approach was not to fight it out. So his first approach, unlike the traditional Kung Fu movies, is not to fight it out. His first approach was always diplomacy, but a lot of times in all his 3 movies, he was forced into a hand or into a situation where he had to fight his way out, whether it's in the US or whether it's in Hong Kong. So it's a great choice. And of course, Donnie Yen is a great actor. Okay, so so we have Jonathan Quek with us. And Jonathan, first question I have for you is, so the reason how I followed you is because of the Owner's Circle, right? So tell us more on how do you begin your journey to co-found the Owner's Circle?
Sure. Thanks, Bob. So a bit background about myself is I started business at the age of 25. I managed to grow the business in alternative investment and also financial education to quite a sizable model, quite a good size at the age of 29. And at the point of time, I thought everything was great, And at age 30, I thought I was heading forward towards the next growth. Because at the age of 30, at age of 29, actually, as a group, our total revenue was around 100 million ringgit. So that's if your audiences are international, that brings you to around 20 over million US dollar annual revenue. And things were going great. But at the age of 30, something very big happened. One of the companies that I was partnering with, they suddenly declared Chapter 11, which means bankruptcy. And then it just went haywire at the point of time. And I had to stop everything, had a lot of court case. And then I met a very good friend of mine. I met this good friend during the days when I was on my high. And then even at the days when I was at my low, we do talk a lot. We spend a lot of time together. So one of the things I actually shared with him, his name is called Raymond Chow. And I told him, I said, hey, Ray, you know what? When it comes to entrepreneurship, when you're on your way up, you meet so many people. And I said, thank God, man. Thank God I used to be nice to everyone when I'm on my way up. But when I'm on my way down, right, they were there for me and they were there to help me. When I was feeling lost, I was feeling very lonely, they were there to help me. And I said, I realized one thing when I was on my way down, when many entrepreneurs who were feeling sad, depressed, challenged, they speak to me and they told me that they are very lonely and many of them were very depressed. And I told him, I said, why is it that there's so many platforms out there that promotes networking, that promotes referral marketing, that promotes awards, that promotes branding, but there's no platform for entrepreneurs who are going through loneliness, who are feeling lost. And I said, I think we need a platform like that. So we spoke for a while. And then one day I was talking to him, I asked him, so what's your goal? And he told me, he said, John, I'm 40 right now. And this was 5 years ago, right? So he said at the point of time, he just turned 40. And he told me this, he said, he has been doing entrepreneurship for 20 years. And he think that he is almost at the end of first half. And I asked him, what's the meaning of first half? He said, if you look at the football game, right, you have the first half and you have the second half. And he said, in entrepreneurship, first half is all about accumulating resources, accumulating knowledge, getting through all these challenges. And he told me, John, you're at the first half right now. You should continue doing it, right? Get back up. And he said, no, once you are able to go through this, you'll be able to have that kind of skill sets, knowledge, resources, network, and you'll be able, and once you made it, that's where you go into second half. So I asked him, what second half? He said, second half is all about giving it away. Whatever knowledge, whatever skill sets, whatever network, whatever resources you have, is all about giving it away. And then I asked him, how are you going to give it away? And he told me this. He said, John, in the next 3 to 5 years, I'm going to sell my company. I asked him, how? Who? And he said, I don't know. He said, I'm just going to do it. And I said, then what's next? And he said, once I sell my company, I will be giving back all my knowledge, skills, and resources to the entrepreneurship world, to the business world. And I told him, why do you have to wait 5 years? Why not do it now? And he said, what can we do? I said, what if we can create a platform where we can bring in entrepreneurs who are feeling lost, lonely, and they want to scale, and we can help them to do that. We can give them the right training, the right tools, and we can give them a tribe where they can resonate with. So I believe that your vibe will attract your tribe. And I said, no, what if we can create a community like this? And he said, no, let's try. Let's do a talk together and see if we can attract such people. So we did that. We booked a hall. We did our first talk. We had 20 over people attending. And then people started signing up for Owner Circle. And then we realized that we are up to something here. So it has been 5 years since then. Yeah. So from a class of, the first class we had was 10 people. Last week, we just had our summit, which was around 300 over packs. Yeah. So I think we have, we are still growing. Yeah. Because there's still a lot of challenge, lost and lonely entrepreneurs out there who need help.
Thanks for sharing, Jonathan. That's so inspiring. And my next question to you is that in the owner circle, there is, you just mentioned the summits, and then there is master classes, and then there's masterminds. So can you share with our audience, how do these masterminds work?
Sure. In Owner Circle, one of the things we believe is this: we do not want to charge for contents. We do not want to charge for information. We believe that the days where training companies are charging for contents and information, that will be very obsolete from now on, because right now you can get your information only from Google and YouTube. You can get your information from ChatGPT, right? So gone are the days where training companies can charge for contents and information. And what we want to do is we will focus on coaching instead, because one of the issues we realize among entrepreneurs is many entrepreneurs get advice all over. They read all sorts of books, they listen to all sorts of podcasts, but they do not know how to execute. They do not know what to implement. They do not know what to do first. So our masterclass and our masterminds work in a way where it's a coaching program, where there will always be a master coach who will be coaching the entrepreneurs to go through a certain process. Every week they get results. It's either results that they want or results that they don't want. If they get results that they want, good. But if they get results that they don't want, they can always come back to the coach to get feedbacks on how they can refine that process and system for them to be able to scale.
And how do these masterminds happen? Are they a group of how many, and where do they happen?
So our masterminds work in a way where I read this book called Think and Grow Rich. It talks about the entire concept of mastermind, where a group of tycoons come together every single month, and then they share resources and they help each other. And I said, know what, if we can do the same thing for entrepreneurs who are small business owners. Why? Because small, medium-sized business owners, they do not have the funds to afford to have board of directors or board of advisors to come in. So I said, what if we can bring them together? All of them are board advisors to each other, and we must always have a coach to facilitate the group. So our fellow entrepreneurs are being put into a mastermind group of maximum 10 companies per group. Okay. Why I use the word companies? Because some of these companies have 2 to 3 co-founders. So every single month they will come together. They will show their accounts. They will show how sales is like, how's their profit margin is like, how's their cash position is like. And then everyone will be commenting, right? So all the other entrepreneurs in the mastermind will be commenting. They'll be pointing out the blind spots as if they are the investor of the group, as if they're the investor of that business owner. So every month they will come together. They will share their numbers. They will share what's working right now, what's not working right now. Because if you look at business world, change in the past 3 years is probably far greater than the past 3,000 years combined. So a lot of changes are taking place. So every single month when they share what's working, what's not working, every entrepreneurs get an insight of what is happening with the market right now. And when I mentioned the word business coach in every group, the business coach is required to meet every company's one-on-one every single month, to look into their numbers, to look into how they can best assist the entrepreneur.
Wow, that is so important. I can imagine how valuable that is. So right now, you just said that there is so much change in the past 3 years. So helping over thousands of business owners, what do you see are their common challenges?
So the entrepreneurs that I serve are mainly entrepreneurs who are, they need to have a minimum of 1 million ringgit to qualify to be a part of this mastermind. So anything below, we do not accept them to be a part of this mastermind. So most of these entrepreneurs, they have already gone through that product to market fit stage, right? So they kind of know what is it that their best-selling product is, what is working right now. And most of them are at a situation where they can't get out of the business. They still got to do everything themselves. They are the CEO, they are the CFO, they are the COO, they are CTO, they are also the HR. So most of them are at the stage what I call the one-leg kick entrepreneur or the one-man show entrepreneur. So very often the problem is always about people and processes. Yeah, it's always about being able to get the right talent, being able to trust that talent. That's another issue that most entrepreneurs face as well. And then to be able to pass on certain roles to their talents, their team members, to be able to take on the team. So what we really focus on in our mastermind is how to build the right processes, how to build the right systems and structures so that they are able to scale from $1 million to 10 million, from 10 million to 20, from 20 to 40, right? To go to double on from there.
Thank you. And as of today, how many members do you have in Owner Circle?
In terms of normal, because there's many tiers of members, right? So in terms of normal membership, there's around 3,000. But in terms of the growth mastermind, we have around 30 companies.
30 companies. So that sounds very impressive. And my side question would be, how do you recruit these companies to be part of Owner Circle?
Oh, well, we have our funnel. I think you do marketing as well. We have our own funnel as well. So we run seminars, we run events, we run summits like the one where I just had last week. We let people experience, they got all the information. And at any point of time, they feel like, hey, I need a coach to help me to implement and to make sure that I don't sway away from my implementation. I got a group of people that I can implement together. That's where they will sign up for our masterminds.
Yes, I've seen the funnel. I've seen the funnel because I also seen some of the ads as well on Instagram. So can you share with us a quick one? Like, so you've worked with thousands of businesses. So a transformational story from Owner Circle, like any success story that you can share that is outstanding.
Oh, sure, for sure. There's quite a few. Give you a case study. So one of these entrepreneurs, they run an event management company. And when COVID hit, everyone, event management, it's like, it's the worst business to be in, right? Event management when COVID hit. So what we did was when COVID hit, we had a mastermind, and then we discussed on the different frameworks that we can do in times of crisis. So this company, their name is called Above Creative Event, is started by a husband and wife team, Mickey and Nicholas. And what they did was they were the very first in Malaysia to kickstart virtual AGMs. So we realized one thing: most events have to stop, but there's one event that must take place. If you're a public listed company, you got to run your AGM every single year, no matter what, right? Even during COVID. So they were the first to introduce this concept called virtual AGM. And then virtual AGM took off. They became the market leader for virtual AGM. And then they did virtual IPOs. Yeah, so for companies who are trying to list, but during COVID, they have to do it virtually. So most of them will go to Above Creative Events. So they became a market leader of that. And because of the COVID, it kind of helped them because most event companies were scaling down. They had a unique selling point. They had an X factor, which was their virtual AGM and virtual IPO. So they managed to recruit a lot of great talents from their competitors. So post-COVID, what happened was now everyone is going back to physical events. Some companies are requesting for the hybrid event, right? Both virtual and physical. They became a market leader in that as well. So right now they serve mainly public listed companies, major corporations, even international organizations who are having events in Malaysia. Since joining Growth Mastermind, they have grown around 2 times in around 3 years. Yeah, so that's an events management company. I will give you another case study, which is another entrepreneur who I'm very proud of, who have just joined us for a year, just a year. When they joined us, they were an accounting firm, and it's called CKP Partners. So when they first joined us, they were just like any other accounting firm, right? And most people hate accountants. Why? Because they screw up your job. They are always uncontactable. You only meet them once a month or once a year to ask whether you're making money or not. So what we did was we told them to change the approach, to move from just being an accountant to become what I call a virtual CFO. So because of my understanding in the SME market, right, I was able to pinpoint certain pain points that SME have. So I told them, most SMEs cannot afford to have a CFO, but what if we can do a virtual CFO idea, right? So they launched the virtual CFO model, and in just a year, they managed to grow their team size by 3 times, grow their revenue by 2 times. Right now they are one of the leading partner for Zero in Malaysia.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks so much for sharing. That is very insightful indeed to see these case studies. And I love the art of business. So when you tell me those stories, I'm like, oh yeah, that's so interesting. So I follow you on Instagram, and I know you do more than Owner Circle. So I'll ask you more on the investment side of things as well. And I think earlier this year you were very active in this front, right? So you're also part of the future trends. So can you also tell us what inspired the creation of Future Trends?
Sure. So if you remember at the beginning of this podcast, I shared that I came from the financial education and alternative investment background, right? So what happened was at the age of 30, when things were going through some issues, I was actually being scammed. That was the biggest problem, because the partner that I worked with, they siphoned the money out, and then later on, everything just went haywire. So at the point of time, I was already trading cryptos. So I started trading crypto around 2017, 2018. And I started to go for a lot of these blockchain conference. And then I realized one thing. I realized that a lot of these events, okay, pardon me if I say this. I know a lot of people is gonna hate it when I say this, right? I feel that a lot of the crypto startup founders are delusional, right?
Yes, I 100% hands and legs raise agree with you.
Yeah. So I feel that there's a lot of hype going on in the space. Everyone is saying that this is the future, but what they really want is they want to invest in the next coin that will become the next Ethereum or the next Bitcoin, right? They want to have 100x, 1000x. I feel that the space is full of gamblers. So what happened was, I've been watching this space, and then later on, my partner and I, Desmond is my partner for Future Trends. We realized one thing. We realized that, oh my God, why is it that everyone is so being hyped up? And we said that they need proper education of what this space is really about. Okay. And coming from the experience of being scammed before, and at the age of that time, I was around 37. I was much smarter than I was when I was 20 plus. 20 plus, I was being sucked into the hype. Now after losing $1 million, you kind of realize that, hey, don't get sucked into the hype again, right? So you kind of learn your lesson already. So we then started this community. We wanted to do it for the Chinese community in Malaysia. Why? Because I think in the Malaysia's Chinese community, there's too much of hype. Many people are always being hyped, and they trust the gurus that is wearing that AP watch or the Philip Patek watch, or driving that Lambo car or the Aston Martin car, right? And then that godlike guru, which tell them whatever to invest, and then they just believe it. And sometimes it's all these money games that's happening. So we started this education program. And then what we then realized was this. There was one day I was watching a Netflix show. I'm not sure if you heard of this show called Scandal, okay, on Netflix.
Yes, of course. I love that show. It's so action-packed. It's like, I would say, House of Cards, but with Fast and Furious together. It's like House of Cards on steroids.
Yeah. So I watched a show about Scandal. It's a show about Wirecard, right? A German startup. About this German startup, which became a scam. Financial Times revealed this scam. And then there were a lot of short sellers that were shorting this stock. And then they made a lot of money. So that day I had an inspiration. I said, oh my God, this happens in crypto every single day. There's so many scams in crypto. And not only that, sometimes the founders may not want to scam, but then they may have a good intention, but the business just doesn't work. And then the coins will start to plunge. And in crypto, there's a lot of pump and dump groups. So I said, hey, if this works for Scandal in the stock market, we can do this in the crypto world. So in the crypto world, I do not focus on looking for the next Ethereum, because I think that's the 0.001% in the crypto world, right? There's thousands of coins being created every single year. I'm not going to look for the next Ethereum. It's so hard to find. But what I do is I spend more time looking for pump and dump groups. And then when the dump happens, I will short it. So I'm more of a short seller in the crypto world rather than trying to bet on what is the next Ethereum or the next Dogecoin.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I follow a similar YouTube channel that talks about these scams called CoffeeZilla. I'm not sure if you know.
Yeah.
So I love CoffeeZilla. So thanks for sharing that. So to focus on the positive side about things. So I know that you invest in a lot of you share a lot about crypto and things like that. So when it comes to crypto, I always ask this question and I never really get a very nice answer to it. I know you focus on scams, but any use cases that excites you at the moment?
I think the latest use case that excited me was when PayPal created their own stable coin. I think just happened a few days ago. I do think that blockchain is here to stay. I do believe in the future of blockchain. But with every technology, when there's a new technology that comes in, there'll be some guys who are very creative that spin some story, raise some funds, and then things then go haywire, right? So I still believe in the application of blockchain. I believe that blockchain is one of the best technology that has ever been created. I hope that blockchain will be used for voting in Malaysia in time to come, just like how it's being used in certain countries already. So I still believe in the application of blockchain. It's just that I do not really believe in why is it that some crypto prices can skyrocket like 1000x in 1 year.
Yeah, I believe in what you say because I also believe in the blockchain technology. But as with all technologies, there will be people who abuse it. There will be people who make use of it, and it's a real use case, whether it's the internet, whether it's smartphones, whether it's blockchain at the moment. Yeah.
And
So when it comes to this, can you share something that you recently shared as well when it comes to the blockchain or crypto, that our listeners need to know? What is something that excites you about this space?
I I believe in blockchain a lot because it solves the issue of transparency. And I think right now what excites me is the fact that with AI coming up, there's so many fake images, fake videos, and all, right? That's happening online. And I think blockchain is the way to solve this. I feel that now this is what I think, right? I think 2 years ago we had a whole hype of NFT. Everyone was buying all these uh funny images online, paying thousands and some even pay a
All
million,
the apes, all the apes.
right? Yeah. So I think that gotta go. I think that if there's one thing NFT can do is to authenticate certain images or videos so that we are able to know what is real, what's not. Because even before we go talk about NFT, just talk about today, right? Today I have like at least one fake account of myself being created on Instagram on a weekly basis. And so many people are being scammed. And people message me about it. They say, "Oh my God, I've been scammed by your scam account. What can you do?" I say, "I really can't do anything. Please help me to tell Instagram to give me a blue tick." So that blue tick is like a verification, right? Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not famous enough to get a blue tick, right? So a lot of these innocent people, they've been scammed by all these scam accounts. So I think blockchain is where we talk about the blue tick. How do you authenticate that this is real, right? This is the real person online. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things, like recently, I also, a lot of my friends participated in the buying of Taylor Swift tickets, and I also bought the Coldplay tickets. So that is where I see blockchain can come in to maybe like
Yeah.
if it inflates, I wish blockchain comes in and we can buy the tickets through blockchain or however. So like I know you said voting just now, but is there a space that you see that blockchain could really be that you wish blockchain could be applied?
I think there's so many. When you mentioned about ticketing, right? I just wish Taylor Swift or Coldplay have put their tickets on NFT. And then we just put it on OpenSea, we just float it there, and then you know that what's real, what's not, rather than trying to buy on eBay or Carousel when you can't really even authenticate whether it's a real ticket or not, right? And I think besides that, I'm also looking at supply chain because right now I think the supply chain, um, we don't really know the source of it. If only the entire process can be on blockchain. I know some companies are trying to solve that. Just now I mentioned voting. Now, one of the things I'm actually excited is I also believe that in time to come, memberships can be put on blockchain. Because, for example, if I want to be a part of a golf course, right? Right now, I buy that membership. It allows me to attend certain events. It allows me certain access. But imagine the membership is on NFT. I firmly believe there's a lot of new ideas that can come out, a lot of new business ideas or business models that will spin out of technologies like this.
Thank you, Jonathan. And the next question, this question is one that I sent to you before this call. And I know that you invest, you just said you invest in crypto and many other things. So how does your role as an entrepreneur play a role in your investment? And is there a conflict in those two?
Okay, I'll tell you the good part and I'll tell you the conflicting part. The good part is being an entrepreneur myself. I'm really an artist and an executor, right? Which means as an artist, what I do is I love building products. I love building products that my customers love. And I get a lot of joy when I have customers who come to me and say, because of this program, because of what you have done, this is the results that I get, or this is the results that I got. So I'm really an artist, quite artistic when it comes to the entrepreneurship part. Because in business, there's three types of people, right? You have the artist, you have the manager, you have the entrepreneur. Okay. So there's a lot of artists in me when it comes to building products. And there's also a part of me being an entrepreneur where I also go on ground to make sure that I'm able to drive growth with my team. I'm able to drive growth by putting in certain processes. So when I become an investor, it allows me to put on the entrepreneur hat as well to see whether, hey, does this idea have the right product to market fit? Does the idea even make sense? And I also look into the team. I look at the team not only because it doesn't mean that because you're from Oxford or you're from Cambridge or you're from Princeton means you're good, because we know that the system doesn't work that way, right? So I look into how they work day to day, how they handle crisis, how they handle chaos, because I believe the best way to measure a person character is only when times are bad, right? When times are bad, how they are able to handle that, right? That's how I measure a person. So that when times are good, they are able to move at a different rate, right? So I like to access the teams. I like to access their processes. So that helps me to invest better as an entrepreneur. But now, let me tell you the biggest challenge I have, the biggest internal conflict I have every single day is this. When it comes to trading or investing versus entrepreneurship, as an entrepreneur, you got to be optimistic. You got to be optimistic that I think this will work. I put in certain risk management measures, right, to cushion my risk. But generally, the reason why entrepreneurs take certain actions is because they're optimistic. But as an investor and trader, I cannot be optimistic. I have to be skeptical about everything. So whenever I become an entrepreneur, when I become an investor trader, right, when I put on that hat, I'm always very skeptical, and it's not easy to switch, right, from someone who is very optimistic all the time to suddenly becoming very skeptical, right, and judge the investee, right, or look at all the possible reasons why this will go wrong. Yeah. So I think that's the biggest internal conflict I personally have every single day, right? When is it to be optimistic and when is it to be skeptical?
Yeah, I can imagine that is a great challenge. So it's like you're watching Shark Tank, you're the entrepreneur, you're the dreamer, and you want to carry the dream, and then suddenly you also have to be the shark to judge the business as well and criticize the businesses that you invest in. So
Yeah.
that is a split personality that
Yeah.
you need to have. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we briefly mentioned this just now, and you said that okay, AI and also blockchain, you're excited about, and I know following you that in the recent summit that you talk a lot about AI, and of course everyone talks about AI this year. So what are you
Yeah.
excited about when it comes to AI?
Well, I was excited about AI because on 30th November last year, when ChatGPT was created, I used ChatGPT and I was like, oh my God, this is like the best thing ever created. Now, a lot of people then started to use ChatGPT to write their emails and all, right? But there was something that happened earlier this year that got me even more excited. So what happened was I had to launch a book because I signed this agreement with my publisher a year ago. So January this year, he said, John, you got to publish your book, otherwise there will be penalty. And I said, oh my God, I've not started yet. But there's one thing that I have a lot of contents because I just conducted my summit in January. So I told him, I said, give me 3 days. Okay. I'll launch the book in 3 days. And he asked me, how is it possible? He said, I've never seen anyone who can launch a book in 3 days. I said, I'm going to use ChatGPT. I said, there's no way you can launch a book using ChatGPT because it doesn't work, right? Because ChatGPT will give you all the funny answers. It's not you. It's not the real you. Now, for me, right, what ChatGPT or AI has done for me is this. It solves one of the biggest problems, which is called writer's block. Because being creative, we always want to come up with different ideas. And AI to me doesn't write the book for me, but it solves the problem of giving me many different options that I can choose from. And then I will then be able to craft my own message using all these ideas. So it solved the problem of writer's block. And in the past, right, when I wrote a book, it took me 6 months, 6 to 7 months. The biggest problem I always have is this. I set the time at 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. to write the book. But then I can sit there for 1.5 hours, but there's no idea. But because of AI, I just write in whatever I want to talk about. They give me all these references. I now can use these references and write my own words. Yeah. So since then, I managed, to cut the long story short, I managed to launch the book in 3 days. Yeah. Right now the book is in major popular bookstores. Is right now one of the promotion as one of the authors from Malaysia. I also started creating a lot of frameworks because if there's one thing I realized about AI is this, never trust 100% AI, right? Because their answers are not 100% correct. Okay. So I started creating a lot of frameworks. I started studying a lot of marketing frameworks, business strategy frameworks, and then I use AIs to generate more ideas for me. So if there's one thing I firmly believe is this, many people say that AI will replace us. Maybe that's 20 to 30 years later. For now, AI will only replace those who do not know how to use AI.
Wow, that is that is so gold. I will quote you on that. So reply, I will replace the people who don't use AI. So thank you so much, Jonathan, for sharing. So what is the future? We've talked about owner circle and future trends. So what is the future for both of these entities?
Sure. So for Owner Circle right now, I think we are in a very good place. 5-year-old business. We managed to have a good number of very committed entrepreneurs that we work with. They are all scaling up entrepreneurs. And what we want to do is we want to leverage on our partnership with corporate partners. Right now, we have few corporate partners that we work very closely with. And all these corporate partners have one thing in common. They have data, because most of these corporate partners that we work with, they are tech companies. So what we want to do is we want to use these data to make it accessible to our fellow entrepreneurs in Owner Circle, so that they no longer have to make decisions based on gut feeling, and they can make decisions based on data. So that's one of the goals that I have moving forward with Owner Circle. My goal is still to grow the business community with Owner Circle, finding like-minded entrepreneurs. And right now we are having events like every month. I just had one last week. We are having one more this week. Yeah. We want to just be able to grow this group of entrepreneurs who are focused on strategies and tactics rather than hype of awards and looking good on social media. We want to make sure these entrepreneurs that we work with will be able to take care of their customers, take care of their employees, and take care of their own families. That's our goal for Owner Circle. And for future trends, our goal now is we want to expand overseas, because we started as a Chinese community here in Malaysia. Interestingly, we start to get a lot of inquiries from overseas, because this whole shorting scam coin idea have gotten out. People start talking about us. We have lovers, we have haters. We have haters from the Web3 space who say, no, we are not scams. We just didn't manage to do it. Our coin just crashed, but we are not scams. Yeah, I get it. I understand, but I'm here as a trader. What I want is volatility, right? I just want the price to go up and down, right? So we do have certain haters on the future trend side, but we have a group of lovers as well who have been burned by scams, who have been burned by pump and dumps. And then they now realize that, hey, I no longer need to be the guy who being pump and dump. I now can identify where are the pumps, and I can short the dumps, right? I can be a short seller as well. So we have a group of Singaporeans who have joined us recently. We have some people from Thai who contacted us. So one of our goal right now is we think we have a very strong narrative and strong track records as well. Many of our community members, some of them resigned from their jobs. They became full-time traders doing this. Yeah. Just shorting what I call shit coins. Yeah. And our goal right now is to go global. Yeah. So one of the things I'll be doing as well, I've been in talks with Dubai. Most likely I'll be flying to Dubai in 2 months' time. We'll be setting up an entity there. And then after that, I'll be prepared to go international.
Awesome. Look forward to your journey and your story, Jonathan. So yeah, last question before we go. So this is a question I did not prep Jonathan on. So you can choose not to answer, just so you know. All right. So I actually heard you say in the beginning of this podcast, you said the word tribe.
Yeah.
And tribe is very important. And I look up to you as a person of great influence and also a great community. So I want to ask you, who is in your tribe? Like if you to name 5 people, right? If you cannot name, it's fine. And who are these 5 people, or whatever number you choose to, and how have they impacted you?
Sure. The first 2 people that I have to mention in my tribe has to be my business partners of Owner Circle and also Future Trends. So in Owner Circle, I have Raymond. So one thing I forgot to mention just now is Raymond did achieve his goal to sell his company 2 years ago. So he sold his company to Axiata, which is now merged with DG. Yeah, so these are now the largest telecommunication company in Malaysia. Great respect for this business partner of mine because of whatever he have went through. He's around 10 years older than me. Of course, he's more matured and I have a lot to learn from him. So I go to him from time to time when I have certain decisions to make. Another person I will have in my tribe is Desmond of Future Trends. He's my business partner in Future Trends. We meet very often. We meet so often that we are staying in the same condo building, right? So that we can ease our conversations and communication. So he's one of the most driven young entrepreneur who I've met. He's much younger than me. So on one hand, I have a business partner who is like 10 years older than me. And on the other hand, I have another business partner who is like much younger than me, early 30s, very driven, very future looking, forward looking, because he spent half his time in US, half his time in Malaysia. So I get to learn a lot from him as well on growth strategies. Yeah. So these are the two people who I spend the most time with. Another group of people are some of these fellow entrepreneurs who I spend time with. I do meet up with them from time to time to learn from them as well, to know what's happening in the business world, because everyone is from different industries. So we do spend time to learn from each other and of course to hang out, right? We love the friendship as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you for being on the show. So if you want to follow Jonathan, there's so many. You can follow him on the Owner Circle and also the Future Trends, and of course Instagram and many platforms. And he talks the talk, right? So I love talking to people who really have done it and not just talk about it. So thank you so much, Jonathan, for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Bob.